Hey crew, good morning. Today we're on chapter 5 of Ribsy. Ribsy has, wait, what? Huh? Oh yeah. I trimmed. It's kind of gone. Going back to my summer look, so I think summer might be here. It was kind of warm yesterday. It's supposed to be nice today, so time to go to summer look. So yeah. Anyway, back to Ribsy. Today we're on chapter 5. If you remember, Ribsy now got kicked out of school. He chased a squirrel around the classroom, and the principal says, now you see why we don't have dogs at school. So now Ribsy is out on his own, wandering around, and it's been weeks since he's left home. Henry's starting to despair a little bit. They've taken the ad out of the paper now, and really not sure if Ribsy's going to find his way home. But let's see what goes on in chapter 5. Ribsy goes to a football game. Henry, I have an idea, said Mr. Huggins at breakfast one morning about a week after he had discontinued the advertisement for Ribsy in the newspaper. This afternoon, I'll get off from work early, and we'll go down to the Humane Society and pick out another dog. I don't want another dog, said Henry. I want Ribsy or nothing. Henry, be reasonable, said his mother. Ribsy has been gone almost a month. If we were going to find him, we would have found him by now. I am being reasonable, said Henry. I just want my dog is all. He's got to be someplace. He'll come home as soon as he can make it. I know he will. Maybe somebody has him tied up and he's chewing on the rope right now. How would you feel when he made it home and found some other dog eating out of his dish? I don't know about that, Henry, said his father. Ribsy is no lassie. He's just an ordinary city mutt. Maybe somebody has him fenced in, and he's trying to dig his way out, said Henry, ignoring his father's critical remark. I bet that's what he's doing right this minute, digging under a fence. But Ribsy was not digging under a fence. Neither was he gnawing through rope. He was trotting along the sidewalk, enjoying the fall sunshine. His ears were up, his eyes were bright, and his tail was waving. Ribsy was getting used to being lost. He was beginning to enjoy it. He met so many nice people. Not so nice as Henry Huggins, but nice just the same. Except for sleeping in drafty garages and occasionally being forced to make a meal of fishy cat food, Ribsy found a lot to enjoy in the life he was leading. As Ribsy trotted along the sidewalk, he became aware of lines of cars, bumper to bumper, filling the street. Each car was jammed with yelling, shouting high school students, some of them waving pom-poms of crepe paper fastened to sticks. This was a stimulating sight to Ribsy, who felt that with so many noisy young people around, something interesting was bound to happen. Zachary Taylor High School, rah, 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 shouted one carload of students. T-T-T-A-Y-Y-Y-L-O-R, T-A-Y-L-O-R, Taylor! Down with Taylor, shouted another carload. Hooray for Chester A High! Ribsy did not understand what it all meant, but it sounded like fun. He trotted faster, and soon he saw a mob of high school students crowding towards some narrow openings in an enormous gray concrete wall. Naturally, Ribsy had to investigate to see what all the excitement was about, and so he too joined the crowd. He wove his way through a forest of legs until he came to one of the gates where a man was taking tickets. Beat it, mutts, said the man in a most unfriendly way. Ribsy was not discouraged. He was a cheerful dog who knew there were many friendly people in the world. He wriggled his way through more legs until he came to another gate where another man was taking tickets. No dogs allowed. This man gave Ribsy a shove with his foot. From inside the wall came the sound of many voices yelling. Something was going on that Ribsy should not miss. He tried a third gate. Get lost, pooch, said the third ticket taker. Ribsy was still not discouraged. So what do you think is going on inside of there? Let's just look at our clues here. He's running into ticket takers. He's seen students with pom-poms and cheering for different schools. And it's fall. What do we usually cheer about in the fall? Outside. Not inside, but outside. At our school. Sure, probably a football game. And isn't that what the chapter's called? So here's probably the football game he's going to. Ribsy was still not discouraged. He simply sat down to wait for some change in the situation and would allow him to enter this strange place. The wait was not unpleasant because many people stooped to pet him while they stood in line with their tickets to await their turns at the gate. Among the crowd were several boys about Henry Huggins' age, but none of them was Henry. Gradually, the crowd began to thin. A delicious smell floated across Ribsy's nose. He sniffed hungrily and swallowed. Oh, hot dogs! There were hot dogs someplace inside this strange wall. Ribsy moved closer to the gate, wagged his tail, and fixed the gatekeeper with his most eager, pleading look as memories of home and hot dogs passed through his thoughts. Henry Huggins was fond of weenies and often ate one after school. Of course, he always gave one to his dog. "Scram!" said the gatekeeper, reaching for the ticket of a straggler. Ribsy sat down and held up his left paw. This has worked before. It might work again. "I steer a southpaw," remarked the gatekeeper, who was more sociable now that he had no tickets to take. "Well, offering to shake hands won't do you any good. You still can't come inside this place," Ribsy whimpered. "No southpaw pooches allowed," said the man. "Now beat it." Ribsy had no intention of leaving. Some ancestor of his had waited patiently at a rat hole. He would wait patiently at this gate. He lay down with his nose on his paws and waited. It was not easy to be patient. The sounds from inside told him he was missing something exciting, and those hot dogs smelled so good he could hardly stand it. This was one of the days he had been forced to eat cat food. He lay watching and waiting and thinking about hot dogs for what seemed like a long, long time. Inside a band began to play, and voices began to sing. Ribsy did not enjoy this as much as shouting. But even though music bothered his sensitive ears, he could appreciate the enthusiasm of the people. There was more yelling, and then a scream went up from the whole crowd, and a man's voice boomed out over a loudspeaker. Ribsy did not care at all for the loudspeaker, which hurt his ears, but did not hurt them enough to drive him away. Hunger, curiosity, and the desire to be in on the excitement held him to his vigil at the gate. A boy about Henry's age, wearing jeans patched on both knees and on the seat, appeared at the gate. "Hey, mister, can I go in?" he asked. "The game hasn't started and the stadium isn't full." The man hesitated before he answered. "Sure, kid, go on in." After that, the gatekeeper kept his eye on Ribsy, and Ribsy kept his eye on the gatekeeper. Inside, there was more screaming. Someone pounded a drum and someone rattled a cowbell. Ribsy closed his eyes. He would fool that man. He looked as if he was asleep. But he was not. He was letting his nose and ears tell him the man was still there guarding his gate. "Tay!" shouted the students from Zachary Taylor High School. "Taylor! Taylor! Taylor!" The man moved a few feet from the gate. He was so busy trying to see what was going on inside that he did not notice Ribsy flick one eye. After a few minutes, he glanced back at the dog, who was apparently sound asleep. Satisfied that the dog would not try to get into the stadium, the man moved farther inside and up the ramp that led to the grandstand seats. Ribsy's eyes opened a hair's breadth and closed again. The man took a chance and moved even farther from his post. After making sure the gatekeeper had his back turned, Ribsy sprang to his feet, dashed through the gate, and around the concrete wall that surrounded the field. Even if he had been wearing jingling license tags, he could not have been heard above the uproar inside. When he was a safe distance from the gatekeeper, he trotted up a ramp where he could see what was going on inside this strange and interesting place. What Ribsy saw inside was that the stadium was enough to excite any red-blooded dog. The sun was shining down on thousands of lively boys and girls, all of them jumping up and down and yelling, and many of them eating hot dogs. Below him lay an enormous field of grass, nice flat grass, just right for running on. There wasn't a rock or burr or thistle on the whole field. And on the grass there were boys, quite a few boys, in football gear, running and tumbling all over one another. There were also 3 men in striped shirts who appeared to be running after the boys. And that was not all. The boys had a football for chasing. A dog really could not ask for much more. Ribsy was delirious with the joy and excitement of it all. He longed to get down on that grass to romp with the boys and chase that ball. He barked wildly. "Hey, look! A dog!" said a boy sitting on a bleacher near Ribsy. "Maybe we better get him out of here," said a second boy who was eating a hot dog. "Aw, he can't hurt anything way up here," said the first boy, his eyes on the football game below. Ribsy looked at the hot dog and swallowed. The boy obligingly broke off a piece and dropped it on the concrete for Ribsy, who gobbled it up. It was the first food he had had in a long time that tasted like home. He wished he had more. For some strange reason, the two boys were now pounding one another on the back. "Boy, oh boy," one of them was saying, "a touchdown for Taylor High." Then he stuffed the last of his hot dog into his mouth. Ribsy lost interest in the boy after that and wandered up and down the steps that separated the rows of bleachers. He had never seen so many obliging people in one place before in all his life. All he had to do was sit down and stare at someone eating a hot dog, and a piece was almost sure to be broken off and dropped at his feet. At first, Ribsy gobbled up both the bun and the weenie. But in a little while, he became choosy, rejecting the bun if it had mustard on it, and finally, skipping the bun altogether and just swallowing the hot dogs. With familiar food in his stomach and so many kind people around him, Ribsy was happy. He began to look for a way to get in on the excitement below. He trotted along the wall that rimmed the field, and when the cheering was especially loud, he put his paws up on the edge of the wall and barked. He was barking from sheer excitement and also because he saw below him some boys about Henry's age who were standing on the edge of the field trying to look important. "Look!" squealed a girl. "A dog cheering for Taylor High!" "Isn't he darling?" said another girl. "Look at his cute collar trimmed with rhinestones. Maybe we should make him our mascot." A boy said, "Somebody better get him out of here. A dog can wreck a football game." But the game was so exciting, with the score 7-6 in favor of Zachary Taylor High, that no one wanted to take his eyes from the players long enough to remove a dog from the stadium. One team grabbed the ball and raced toward one end of the field. Before the boy who carried the ball was able to cross the line for a touchdown, the other team managed to capture the ball and went racing off to the opposite end of the field. The game was so close that no one was paying any attention to Ribsy. He was free to explore the stadium. One team made a touchdown, and then the other team made a touchdown. Finally, down at the end, onto the scoreboard, Ribsy found a ramp that led through a sort of tunnel that opened on that nice green grass. "We want a touchdown! We want a touchdown!" the crowd was chanting. Since all the boys Ribsy had ever known who tumbled around on grass were glad to have a dog romp with them, Ribsy ran out on the field, confident that he was welcome. The grass was so cool to his paws and so fragrant to his nose that he had to stop for a good roll. With his 4 feet in the air, he squirmed and wriggled. It was bliss. Only the fun of chasing a ball made him stop. And we'll stop there. Now, our football field isn't like this one. It's fairly open, and sometimes dogs and Millet do get loose. I don't know that any has ever been to a football game before, but tonight, why don't you imagine, what do you think would happen if a dog like Ribsy or Champ or Chester got loose, found their way to the football field, and the football game was going on? What do you think they would do? And then let's compare it to what happens with Ribsy now that he's out on the football field and see there's a ball to chase. Okay? We'll check that tomorrow. All right? Catch you later.